Welcome back to the Prime Focus Goalkeeping channel. My name is Brandon Miller. I'm your host, and today we are going to talk about 3 best tips for dealing with 1v1 situations in a game. These are difficult situations because a lot of times it's just you and the striker, and you got to figure out how to make a save in a large space. So we want to figure out how we can cut that space down, make it a little bit easier for goalkeepers to make higher percentage saves. So our first tip that we're going to talk about delaying. Now I'm going to explain what I mean by delaying, but we're going to start out in a smaller goal because I want goalkeepers to make more saves from the beginning. I want them to feel more confident. And obviously defending a smaller goal makes you feel more confident, gives you less to cover, and we can start to figure out our angles and start to figure out how we want to manage these situations, so then when we transfer into the bigger goal, we can utilize that as well. And a smaller goal, maybe not this smaller goal, but a smaller area is often what strikers are seeing when they pick their head up on these situations. They're not seeing the entire goal. They're more so looking for that little bit of space that they can find to pass the ball into the back of the net. So if we can close down a lot of those spaces, we're giving strikers a lot less time to make those decisions. So when I say delay, what I mean is a lot of goalkeepers love to just run out of their goal. They see a striker coming 30, 25 yards out, and they just sprint out of their goal and try to meet him at the top of the 18. We see that in these situations where the goalkeeper doesn't delay, and I take a touch, and that goalkeeper comes out, and then I just go around, and I put it in the back of the net. So if you're just sprinting out towards the striker, you're leaving them a lot of options to either shoot it one side or the other, take a touch around you, maybe someone else is coming and they can just pass it to the side and that striker can pass it in. So you gotta delay a little bit. Now the opposite of that is you just staying on your line and leaving the entire goal open. So even on this smaller one, if they're just staying, right? And you're just leaving the goal wide open, you're letting a striker get way too close inside our 18, whether it's 6 yards out, whether it's 8 yards out, depending on what the situation. If you're just staying back on your line, you're opening up the angles that a striker can shoot on. So we've got to pick a better time to come out. Maybe it's not on that first touch, but as they start to get closer, how does the goalkeeper start to come out and close down this angle a little bit and make it so this striker doesn't see as much, and it's harder for the striker to go around or even go this way because there's not a lot of room. Another benefit of delaying is oftentimes goalkeepers commit so early, they don't give their defenders the opportunity to recover. A lot of times in 1v1 situations, a striker may be through, they may have a 2-yard step on your defender, but they're dribbling the ball. They're trying to make decisions. They've got a lot of things to manage while the defender simply just has to sprint back. And so a lot of times your defender can come back and cover. And if you just delay instead of rushing out and making the striker's job easier, then maybe your defender can get back, make a tackle, cut down an angle, make the life a lot harder for the striker. Make sure you're making the right decision on when to come out, how far to come out, and giving your defenders the opportunity to get back if they can. Our second tip that we talk about, and Coach Pablo displayed it a little bit, it's staying up as long as possible, right? So once you've engaged with the striker, right, you decided to come out, it's not just selling yourself here on this fake and then them going around you. You've got to be able to stay up as long as possible. That's a part of delaying as well. If you stay up as long as possible and make that striker think about, oh, hesitate, oh, maybe I go here. Now, hopefully your defender's coming. Now, hopefully you've been able to cut down the angle enough to where they don't have a lot of options. If you just decide to come out as hard as you can and go down, right? So I see a lot of goalkeepers and they just go down, right? Or they'll just sell themselves short. The striker has the opportunity to just go around you. Or they have the opportunity, we see it a lot lately, where goalkeepers just go down to the ground and that striker just chips the ball over them because they anticipate in this situation, the goalkeeper is gonna go down and I'm just gonna lift it up. So staying up as long as possible is one of your best bets in order to delay, but also to make more saves. It just depends on what the situation looks like. If it's a fast-paced situation where it's a touch and shoot, maybe you just come out and make yourself big, maybe you do go down. But in these 1v1 situations, a true 1v1 situation where that striker is clean through, it's very hard to just commit to going down when there's a ton of space and a ton of opportunity for the striker. The last portion of it is being able to react. So we're delaying, we're staying up. With staying up, you've got to be able to react to what the striker does. So sometimes you want to stay up, and then at that last minute, a striker tries to sneak a shot in, and we're not prepared. We just think that we've delayed, and we're just hoping that the striker hits it at us. So when that striker comes in, they're coming in, and you're delaying, you're staying up. You've got to be able to put yourself in a position to where if that striker puts the ball here, you can react. If that striker puts the ball high, you can react with your hands. We've got our 3 tips, right? We want to delay. We want to be able to stay up as long as possible. Make that striker think more and more about the decisions they have to make. A lot of times if field players have to think too much, they make the wrong decision. But at the end of the day, we also have to be able to react. So we're going to see a few in here. We're going to add in the second goal, make it a little bit bigger, make Coach Pablo think a little bit, and then we're going to step into the larger goal, right? So let's look at a few in the smaller one. We go at a little bit of pace. See, Coach Pablo doesn't commit too early, doesn't give me the opportunity to go around him, but he stays up and he's able to react, right? We go here, we go to the other side. We're coming at pace, and I try to hit it early, but Coach Pablo's there. His balance is good. He's able to stay up and react. Let's go one more here. Coming in. Yep. And good, well done. All right, so now we've added in a second goal. Make that area a little bit larger. Now, if you don't understand the space here, now we've got a 4-yard area. What is 4 yards? Literally half of the goal. So now Coach Pablo has to deal with half of the goal, right? So now it's just the same thing. It's delay. It's stay up as long as possible. It's react to the strike, but it's also now figuring out your angles. What do I want to cut down? With that striker takes a touch to the right, where do I step? How do I close down the angle? So now we're making a few more decisions with a bit larger space. So let's see a few here. I'm going out, I'm coming here, and good. Coach Pablo's come down, he's cut down the angle, he's realized I've gone to the right. All right, so that near post is most likely a little bit more open. It's a little bit easier for me to just pass it in there. He's cut down that near post, and I've tried to go far post, and he's been able to use his foot to make a save there. That's good. And we come right down the middle, right? Make a decision. Good. Understanding that strikers coming at pace, they're coming down the middle, they're going one way or the other. Am I right footer? Am I a left footer? Do you want to cut off one side or the other? Do you want to force me to one side and try to react to that? But understanding, so you see that Coach Pablo's not committing too high. He's not trying to engage with me at the blue line. He's coming a little bit closer to that yellow line. That's about 3-4 yards off his goal line. He doesn't have to come all the way out here because there's not a ton of the goal that he has to cover right now, but also he doesn't need to leave that space in behind. He doesn't need to allow the striker to go behind. Let's go one more. We come to this side. Good. We've seen a few different situations there where Coach Pablo's able to come down, cut down the angle, stay big, and react. Obviously, there's different decisions you have to make. If that striker takes a big touch and you're able to go make it, claim the ball, or go make it a 50-50, these are all different situations that you have to deal with. But when that striker has that ball close to him, we can't just go throw our body at it, especially in a larger space. Now let's move more into the goal and see some stuff from angles. All right, so now we're in the goal. We're gonna look at some situations in the goal. So we're gonna look at coming from one side, and then we're gonna investigate coming down the middle and see what that looks like. Think about the mini goals that we just worked with. We worked with a smaller one that was about 2 yards wide, and then we worked with 2 smaller ones that was about 4 yards wide. Now we're looking at an 8-yard goal. You've got to think about when strikers come from angles, say my 1v1's coming in here, and you're cutting down the angle. As a striker, you're not seeing a lot of options. You're not seeing the full goal as an option. As a goalkeeper, you want to make it a smaller goal, as small a goal as possible, and that's what you do when you're cutting down the angle. So now you want to treat it kind of like that 4-yard goal where there's some space and you've got to decide what I need to cut down, but it's not a huge goal like we'll talk about from the middle. So we'll see a few situations. So Coach Pablo set on his goal line, that striker breaks in, right? Coach Pablo stays a little bit too deep, and now I'm able to score, right? So we talked about it before, delaying. But if you're sitting too deep on your line, you're gonna leave too much of the goal wide open. And Coach Pablo stayed a little bit too far back there, right? So we don't want him to sprint all the way out to the PK spot to meet us, but he's gotta be able to come out and cut down the angle to make the goal smaller and treat it more like that 4-yard goal instead of making the goal so big. So we'll see the next situation coming in. I'm here. That's it. Same there. It's better. That's a lot better where he's met us a little bit higher. 5 yards out, 6 yards out. I'm able to see less of the goal there. I don't see a ton of the near post. And since he's cut down the angle an extra yard or two there, I don't see as much of the far post. So when I try to go far post, he's able to use his feet. He's able to make himself big and cut down the angle, and I don't see a ton. All right, last one here. We come in. Coach Pablo's there. Now, it's a great finish from me, but it's a very good example of what goalkeepers have to do and make decisions in these situations. When I'm coming down one side or the other, I'm on one foot or the other, I'm here. The easiest pass for me is a straight one into that near post. So how do you, Coach Pablo, adjust for this to take away that near post a little bit more? Right, so it's an angled step there. So now that near post is cut down a little bit more. And now as a goalkeeper, you're not leaning towards that far post, but you recognize that from here, you cut down that near post, my most likely strike is that far post, and I'm able to get a foot out. But if I do go near post, you're in a position to where you can still react and you don't have to really push and make a huge save. Let's look at it down the middle, because these are the most difficult ones for a lot of goalkeepers to deal with. Striker coming right down the middle and the goal is wide open. So again, we talk about delaying. We talk about staying up as long as possible. We talk about reacting, right? If a striker's clean through, these are probably the most difficult situations because the whole goal's open and we don't know which side they're going to. But we can put some things into our favor in order to play some mind games with the striker, but also start to make some more saves. So as that striker is coming in, I'm on my right foot. At some point, the strikers can't keep the ball underneath their foot. At some point, they're gonna go one side or the other. So I wanna go to my right side. Again, you see Coach Pablo take that little step to his left to potentially cut off that near post, which is very easy for me to pass into, versus going far post where I've got to wrap my foot around it and potentially at fast pace, at a high pace, potentially put that ball wide, right? So understanding whatever side that striker takes their touch to, we need to figure out how to cut off that near post a little bit more. Not saying go all the way over, but come on an angle to where you're closing down that near post a little bit, not showing as much of the near post. And that way, when that striker picks their head up, I can't go near post, forcing them far post, and hopefully they push that wide. Now, is it a foolproof plan? No. There are other strikers who are very quality about putting that ball into the bottom corner, maybe even zipping it past you near post. But we've got to start to make decisions. If you just stay in the middle, right? If Coach Pablo just stays down the middle and cuts off here, well, guess what? I'll pass it near post, I'll pass it far post, and it's pretty easy, especially when you get to the higher levels. So you've got to start figuring out how you can cut down these angles and force the strikers a little bit more to go to one side or the other. And that's done by literally placing yourself half yard one side or the other, playing a little mind game with the striker. They pick their head up, they only see far post. Well, most likely they're gonna go far post. That's an extensive look at 1v1s. We'll dive into a little bit more in future videos, but remember, we want to work on delaying, not coming out too early, but not staying on our line back too far. We want to stay up as long as possible. That's a part of delaying, but it's also a part of being able to react, cutting down the angles, making yourself big. And that third piece, we have to be able to react. We have to be able to get our hands out. We have to be able to use our feet, use our body to make saves. We're not just figures hoping that the striker strikes it at us. So those are our 3 best tips. We'll cover more in future videos, but if you have any questions or any comments, leave them on the video. But until next time, stay focused.